welcome back to another episode of the Honest Talks. This episode, I was thinking of doing it in June because of the Pride. It's usually in June, even though they celebrate in August in the UK. So I have no idea, honestly. But I just was looking at my ideas for the episodes and I thought that this was something that I haven't really touched on, and the other subjects I've kind of touched already. So I decided that I would talk about this, and I think that many people don't really know about it, maybe because you have to go through it to know. But it's kind of hard when you're trying to find yourself in the world. And even though that most people say that they don't like labels, I mean, not most people, some people. Some people think, oh, I don't want any labels. I don't want to define myself as one thing or the other. But when you're trying to find yourself, usually at the beginning of your adult life, it's really important that you do try to find some kind of labels so you feel like you know yourself better. I mean, it really depends on what you want, but what I mean is that I know ever since I was little that I didn't just feel attraction to men or women, and I always felt like that was the normal, but I really didn't think much about it because I even remember being I don't know, like very friendly, I would say, with a friend when I was in year 4, and the girls, my friends, they made fun of me and said, "Oh, what are you? You're like queer." Well, it was in Portugal, so obviously they didn't use this word, but it was kind of the same tone. And I realized, okay, so this is not okay. This is not right. You shouldn't do that. So you just kind of pushed. And one thing about being bisexual or pansexual or whatever you want to call yourself, really, that's fine. But one thing about it is that people are like, well, if you like both, then why don't you just decide to be straight? Or I've heard people say that, not to me, but to other people have experienced that, where their parents, they ask like, well, if you like both, then just be straight and just date men if they're women. And it's really hard for bisexual people or pansexual people. I define myself more as a pansexual because pansexual, it's not as binary as bisexual. So I just feel like it just fits better with what I feel as. That makes sense. I feel like bisexual is all men and women, but I don't know. I feel like I would like to have a term that also would include non binary people, anything in between. I feel like it fits better, but it's really just about what you feel like. It's not as if there's a right or wrong. It's whatever you feel like it makes you feel better. And it's very hard, I would say. When you're gay, you know you're gay. If you're a man, you know you like men, and that's it. But then when you first notice that you like both, then it's kind of confusing in your head because even when you're young, you start to know about gay people, but nobody really tells you about bisexual people. Nobody is talking about how you can love both. Well, they didn't really say anything about gay people, anyways, but you start to notice in the world that there are gay people, but you don't really know that there are bisexual people, I feel like. And it's really hard for you to understand yourself and to fit into one category, which you don't have to, but it feels like you're not. I know this is a weird, well, maybe it makes sense, but if you have two nationalities, or if you are biracial, it's like you're never one in, like, if you're mixed race, like black and white, it feels like you're not white enough for the white people and you're not black enough for the black people. I don't know, I am not, but that's what I've been told by people that I know that are mixed race and that have double, nationality. And I feel like, even though it's not really the same, I feel like being bisexual is the same in that sense, where for the LGBT people, you're not gay enough. For the LGBTQI plus community, I think that's what you say now. I'm so lost, I'm so sorry. But then for the straight people, you're a bit freaky. Oh, you like women too, so. And men, they kind of usually, those kind of men, they fetishize that, where they could have a threesome. And being bisexual does not mean at all that you want to have a threesome, but that's what usually people go for. And if you're bisexual and you like having threesomes, that's fine. But usually people think you are not like, you don't have just one person in a relationship, like you're polyamorous. And that doesn't interfere, like, you can be bisexual and not be polyamorous. It doesn't have anything to do with it. Obviously, it's much easier to be in a polyamorous relationship if you're also bisexual, I would say. Because it opens the world to more possibilities, I suppose. But it's not like something you can choose anyways. And I feel like it's so hard because even though I am pansexual is not really in the name. It's more like the Q in queer, maybe. But bisexual is sort of similar, so I would consider myself in the B of the LGBTQI plus community. But it is a problem when you're trying to figure it out, and I still feel like I'm an imposter when you're in pride parades, and especially if you're in a relationship with someone and it makes you be in a straight relationship, it is very hard for you to feel like you belong, because people look at you as if you're straight because you're in a straight relationship. That doesn't mean it's bad or anything, but it is hard for you to feel like you actually are part of the community, but you've never dated women, so it feels like you're not really even entitled to be part of it. And I know it's like mostly in my head, and that's something you have to deal with, like, finding your identity and whatnot. But it is hard to understand who you are. And I feel like there's a lot of TikToks now about being bisexual, and it made me open my eyes to, well, being bisexual and being in a straight relationship is very common because it's way easier. At least I only know what few gay people, and they're not really my type of people, if that makes sense. So it is very hard finding good straight men. It is hard, but I feel like it is harder to find, well, not gay people, bisexual people as well, but to be in a queer relationship, it is much harder to find someone queer than to find someone straight, if that makes sense. But I feel like those TikToks, they're doing a good job of making people feel more accepted, because it is actually very common for bisexual women to be in a straight relationship. It's just, like I said, much easier to find a partner, and it just happens more casually than if you were to find a gay person or a bisexual person to be with. So I feel like you just have to accept yourself and know that you are bisexual, despite being in a straight relationship, and you are as much part of the community as a bisexual woman in a gay relationship. And I feel like sometimes the LGBTQI plus community also does not help, because there are a lot of gay women that do not want to be with bisexual women. I've heard that before, not to me, but in the internet. They feel like they're not to be trusted. Bisexual people have that reputation of not being trustworthy, and just, I don't know. I don't know why people think that. Just because you are attracted to one more gender than most people are does not mean that you have more chances of cheating on your partner. And it does hurt sometimes to think that you can't fit, because if you're in a straight relationship, then it feels like you don't have a connection to the community because you're in a straight relationship. But then if you're lucky enough to find, for example, like a gay woman, and you're a bisexual woman, then sometimes the person doesn't really like the fact that you're bisexual, and it's just, I don't know. It is hard. Everything is hard, especially having to find yourself in the world. But it is hard when you don't even feel like you're actually um, part of anything. You're too gay for straight people, but you're not gay enough for the community. And and I remember when I came out, I was in year 10. Well, I figured out by year 9, but I only told some people at year 10. And I remember having friends asking me if I was out of it, if I I don't know. It was very weird, but they would ask me, "Oh, are you still attracted to women? Like, you still think that you're bisexual?" I don't know. Maybe they thought I was wanting attention, which I didn't. They were just my friends. And it was like, if it gave any attention, it was just the wrong kind. Because after that, then they didn't want to undress in front of me when you were changing to PE. I noticed though that I had specifically a friend that was kind of uncomfortable, because, oh, if you're attracted to women, then I'm afraid like you fall in love with me or something like that. I don't know. You know, it happens. And then they think it's a phase. They think, well, because especially for some people, when they're coming to terms with their sexuality, they think they're bisexual before they actually realize they're gay. So I think that also gives the impression to some people that you are are going to realize you're either straight or gay, as if being bisexual is a phase of discovery, and then you realize what you actually are. So it is hard to make people see, and for you yourself to realize that no, it is not a phase, it is actually who you are, and that is okay. And yeah. It is something that is, I don't know, it's still something that I'm not super comfortable, even though it's not really an issue. I don't know. I feel like it feels kind of weird because when I first came out, I didn't get really much approval. Only from one friend who is also bisexual now. She, not now, I mean, she realized later, after I came out to her, that she was also bisexual. Maybe I made her start thinking about it. I don't know. She only told me afterwards. Maybe she knew before as well. You always know deep down, but then people push those feelings down, and then you think to yourself, "Oh no, I'm just confused." But then you realize, no, I actually feel like this, and that is who I am. And I've had crushes in my friends, that is true. Not that one that thought I did, but I've had crushes before. And I've never dated because I had crushes on straight people, or the one the crush that started to make me think again about the fact that I was bisexual. Well, pansexual, but you know what I mean. Was already dating another girl, and I was okay with it, I suppose. But it just made me realize, like, oh, I am attracted to women as well. And I just started to really think about it because it was a massive crutch that I had on her. And then made me think about it more than I usually would, because I would just ignore it. I wasn't attracted to any girls in my school, so I think maybe it also made me take longer. But then I saw that girl and she was so beautiful, and I was like, okay, I definitely am attracted to women, and I have to come to terms with it because I can like both. That's the thing. And I did tons of research about it, um, to realize that yes, in fact, it is very normal to only realize at some point, because it it takes for you to actually think about it, because you have those feelings, but if you just push them down, you can ignore them for a very long time. But once you actually come to terms with it and you realize that you are in fact a bit gay, then that is when you feel like at peace with yourself, I would say. But then these feelings of being part of the community come in, so it feels like you always have to prove yourself, prove who you are. And it's not like I also know a lot of bisexual people that kind of feel like they missed out because they have married a straight men. Especially, what I mean is bisexual women mostly. I don't know many bisexual men. They're kind of a species going extinct. I suppose there are not many of them. I don't know why, to be honest. But I know some bisexual women that feel like they've missed out, and they are I don't know, afraid that they didn't experiment being in a gay relationship before. But for me, that's not really a problem. That's why I feel like pansexual is more what I feel like I am, because the definition of pansexual is feeling attracted to people despite their gender. And I feel like that is more of what I feel like. I would be attracted to someone and I wouldn't feel like their gender would make any difference, because if if for example that you see, I don't know, if you're a straight guy and you see someone who looks like a cute girl, and then you realize, oh, it's actually a boy wearing makeup, then if you're straight, you would usually lose the attraction, because then you realize, oh, it's a guy, so I don't feel attracted anymore. It feels like it goes away, I suppose. But for me, it's like, oh, if someone looks cute, it looks cute, and I'm attracted. I don't care. Oh, you're actually a guy, or you're actually non-binary, or you're actually a girl. That doesn't really matter. So that's why I feel like pansexual is what I feel like I am the most. And at some point, maybe I will come to terms with the fact that I am part of the community no matter what. And I feel like it takes time, but if you are in this same situation, just remember there is a B in the LGBT. So you are much part of it as anyone else, and you are who you are, and you don't have to prove to others. If you're in a straight happy relationship, then that is fine. You don't have to tell people that you are bisexual. You don't have to prove to them, like, you know who you are, and if someone asks, then you are bisexual, and it is doesn't have to be your whole identity. Because sometimes I also see people, maybe they are coming to terms with their sexuality, so it helps them to talk about it a lot. But sometimes I also feel like it's like your whole personality, if that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't really have to do with sexuality. Sometimes some people, they just take one part of themselves and they make this huge thing about it. And well, it really depends. It's not like you can't do whatever the hell you want, but sexuality is one part of yourself, and there's many other things about you. So being bisexual doesn't have to be everything interesting about you. You're not just a bisexual person, you are many, 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 many other things. And that's what makes you special, and that's what makes you who you are. So I hope that some people that are feeling like this, that they realize that they don't have to prove themselves to anybody, and this is just one part of you, and there are many other special things that people should know about. And I hope that you do feel better about it now or in the future. And I want to thank you guys for watching until the end, or listening until the end. And I will see you in the next video. Please subscribe and like. I will talk more about these things if you want. You can always comment in the comments down below if you have anything to say about it. You can type as you listen. I don't mind the spam. So I love to talk to you guys. So please comment something. If you are watching, if you're listening on Spotify, you can go to the video on YouTube and comment something about it, because I sometimes feel like I'm talking to myself, which I actually am. But I do love to hear your guys' opinions on the subject. So thank you so much for watching or listening, and we'll see you in the next Honest Talks episode. See you guys. Bye.